The Galactic Military Academy's Weapons Demonstration Day was the most anticipated event of the training cycle. Cadets from 57 species gathered at the range complex, each eager to showcase their homeworld's superior firepower. The viewing stands buzzed with multilingual chatter and the hum of various respiratory systems. Cadet First Class Zarnok of the Thraxian Empire stood proudly beside his weapon, a crystalline energy cannon that required anti-gravity supports just to keep it upright. The barrel alone was 12 feet long, covered in cooling vents and power regulators. Behold, the Thraxian Decimator Mark VII. Output, 50,000 terawatts. It can vaporize a mountain from orbit. The Valkorian twins presented their plasma launcher, a massive twin-barreled monstrosity that glowed with barely contained stellar energy. Our weapon harnesses the power of a miniature star, they announced in unison. Nothing survives its touch. Other species revealed increasingly elaborate weapons: quantum disruptors, antimatter projectors, gravity collapse generators, each more massive and impressive than the last. Then Cadet Sarah Williams from Earth walked up, carrying a small case. She opened it and pulled out what looked like a piece of black metal pipe with a handle. The entire range went silent, then erupted in laughter. Is that your weapon? Zarnok's 4 eyes widened in disbelief. The human device was smaller than his smallest tentacle. Yep, Sarah said, checking the cylinder. Smith & Wesson .500 Magnum. 5-shot revolver. The Etherian cadet's gaseous form flickered with amusement. 5 shots? My particle beam has unlimited ammunition as long as stellar radiation exists. That primitive chemical thrower probably can't even penetrate basic shielding, scoffed Cadet Blizak from Centauri Prime, hefting his molecular disintegrator. What's its energy output? A few hundred joules. About 3,500 joules at the muzzle, Sarah replied calmly, loading 5 cartridges that looked laughably small compared to the fusion core's other weapons required. The Decimator outputs the equivalent of 50 billion of your joules per nanosecond. Zarnok's tentacles writhed with superiority. Range Master Corvin, a veteran of 40 campaigns, called for silence. Enough. Let's see these weapons in action. Standard target test, penetration, accuracy, and practical application. Zarnok, you're first. The Thraxian aimed his massive cannon at the reinforced titanium carbide target 100 meters away. The weapon charged with a rising whine that made everyone's teeth ache. Finally, a brilliant beam erupted, lasting nearly 10 seconds. When the light faded, the target was gone. So was the backstop, and the mountain behind it, and part of the mountain behind that one. Impressive, Corvin noted. Reload time. 6 hours for the power cells to recharge, Zarnok admitted. The Valkorian plasma launcher performed similarly, devastating power, but requiring a lengthy cooling period after each shot. The molecular disintegrator needed recalibration after every discharge. The gravity weapon could only fire once before requiring complete gravitational field reset. Williams, your turn, Corvin announced. Sarah stepped up to the line, held the revolver with both hands, and fired 5 shots in rapid succession. Boom, 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 boom. The sound was primitive. No energy whine. No plasma hiss. Just explosive percussion that echoed across the range. 5 holes appeared in the center of a fresh target, grouped so tightly they nearly formed a single larger hole. Reload, Corvin ordered. Sarah ejected the spent casings, reloaded, and fired 5 more shots before Zarnok's cannon had cooled enough to even begin its next charging cycle. She did this 12 times in the span it took the Valkorian weapon to fire twice. But the power output. Blizak protested. Let me ask you something, Sarah interrupted. How much of that 50,000 terawatts actually hit your target? Well, all of it, Zarnok said uncertainly, and everything behind it for 50 kilometers. In combat, how many of your own forces would be in that blast zone? How do you use that inside a ship? In a city? Near civilians? She spun the cylinder of her revolver. This puts exactly the amount of force needed exactly where I want it. No collateral damage, no 6-hour recharge, no reactor required. Just physics, force equals mass times acceleration. Corvin pulled up the tactical assessment. Practical combat scenario. Close quarters boarding action. Zarnok, your weapon is too large to even fit through a standard doorway and would breach the hull. William's weapon eliminated 5 targets in 2 seconds with 0 risk to ship integrity. But surely in open combat, the Etherean began. I can carry 500 rounds in a standard backpack, Sarah added. That's 500 targets. Your cannon gets 1 shot before someone with a weapon like mine walks up during your recharge time and... Well, the reality settled over the alien cadets. Their superweapons were engineering marvels, but the human weapon was engineered for war, actual, practical, brutal war. Later, Zarnok found Sarah cleaning her revolver. Why do you call such an effective weapon tiny? Sarah laughed. Because back home, this is what we call a hand cannon. You should see what we mounted on our ships.